fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
Whiskey scorches my throat like the night she vanished, a decade-old wound that never healed. The amber liquid slides down, bitter as the promise she left behind, and I taste desperation with every swallow. By day I hunt monsters in the city's alleys. By night I am a prisoner to the ghost of a woman who was once my love and my doom. The city never sleeps. Distant howls rise like a choir of the damned, echoing off cracked cobblestones and soot-blackened towers that claw at the sky. In my study, the only sound is the crackle of the fire I keep to hold the darkness at bay. Flames lick the stone walls, casting shadows that reach for me like the memories I try to bury. I feel the heat on my skin, but it does not warm me. Nothing can after what she did. She always smelled of lilacs, a perfume that clings to the air before chaos erupts. Her silk dresses whisper against her skin, and her kisses, once sweet, have turned to arsenic, leaving a metallic tang on my tongue. I thought I recognized her poison, that I could stay clear of her spell-woven traps. Yet tonight the scent is stronger, the air thicker, and the blade at my throat sings a familiar song. I stare into the fire, watching orange tongues dance, and let my mind drift back to the night of betrayal. The moon is a thin sickle, barely illuminating the courtyard where she waited. Her eyes glow like twin moons, and when she speaks, her voice is silk over steel. "You think you can outrun destiny, Joran," she whispers, and the words cut deeper than any blade. A sudden shriek splits the silence as the phone rings, its tone jagged like a broken promise. I answer, heart hammering against my ribs. "Sir, breach at your residence. Juvenile male," the line cuts off, the voice fading into static. Before I can react, the glass beside me shatters, shards scattering like frozen lightning. I spring to my feet, muscles coiled, eyes darting to the doorway. The scent of lilac floods the room, hot steel presses against my throat, and I know the dance has begun again. The blade is thin, cold, and it hums with a magic I have not felt since the night of the red eclipse. I press my palm against the cold metal, feeling the faint pulse of enchantment. "Lyra," I hiss, the name tasting like ash on my tongue. "What do you want from me now?" She steps forward, her silhouette framed by the flickering firelight. The lilac perfume swirls around her like a veil, and for a heartbeat I see the girl I once loved, the girl who taught me how to read the stars. Then the mask slips, and the woman I hunted emerges, eyes alight with a hunger that has not dimmed in 10 years. "You still think you can hide behind fire and whiskey," she says, her voice a mixture of mockery and longing. "You think the city will forget what we did." I swallow, feeling the bitter liquid rise again. "I never forgot," I answer, my voice low, ragged. "I have chased the shadows you left behind, killed the beasts that crawl from the cracks, all because I cannot let you go." She laughs, a sound that cracks the night like glass. "You are a fool, Joran. I gave you a choice. I offered you power, love, eternity. You chose the blade. Now you are nothing but a relic, a man who drinks to drown his own heartbeat." The words sting, but I do not flinch. I have learned to steel my mind against her poison. "Power without purpose is a curse," I say, stepping forward. "I have purpose now. I protect this city from the monsters you summon." She lifts the blade, and the steel catches the firelight, turning it into a river of blood. Then let us see whose purpose is stronger. The room erupts into a storm of steel and flame. I dodge the first slash, feeling the wind of the blade brush my cheek. The scent of lilac intensifies, wrapping around my senses like a living thing. I hear the distant howl of a banshee outside, a reminder that the city itself is alive, breathing, waiting for the outcome of our duel. I draw my own sword, a relic forged from moon iron, its edge humming with a faint blue glow. The metal sings against hers, a discordant chord that reverberates through the stone walls. I thrust forward, aiming for her heart, but she twists, her body moving with a grace that belies the cruelty in her eyes. "You have grown, Joran," she whispers, her breath warm against my ear, "but you are still bound by the same fear that made you drink that poison." Fear, the word echoes in my mind, a phantom that has haunted me since the night she disappeared. I remember the courtyard, the moonlight glinting off the marble statues, the way her hand had slipped into mine, the way her eyes had turned black as the void. I close my eyes for a heartbeat, feeling the fire's heat on my back, the taste of whiskey on my tongue, the lilac perfume pressing against my nostrils. When I open them, I see her blade lowered, the tip hovering just above my throat. "Enough," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "If you truly love me, you will not kill me. You will let me live, and we will find another way." She hesitates, the blade trembling. For a moment, the city outside seems to hold its breath. The howl of the banshee fades, replaced by a soft, mournful wind that whistles through the cracked windows. "You think love is a bargain," she says, her voice cracking. "You think I would ever let you go when I have you in my grasp." I lower my sword, the moon iron clinking against the stone floor. "Then let us bargain," I propose. "Give me a chance to prove that I can be more than a hunter. Let me find the source of the monsters you summon, and we end this cycle together." She studies me, the fire reflecting in her eyes. The lilac scent seems to soften, as if the perfume itself is listening. "You speak of cycles," she murmurs. "Do you not see that we are bound by them?" "Perhaps," I admit, "but cycles can be broken." She lowers the blade completely, the steel clattering against the stone. The tension in the room eases, though the fire still crackles, casting long shadows that dance like specters. "Very well," she says, stepping back. "We will hunt the source together. But know this, Joran, if you fail, I will not hesitate to end you." I nod, feeling the weight of her words settle like ash on my shoulders. I will not fail. The next dawn arrives with a pallid sky, the sun a thin ribbon of light struggling through a veil of ash. I leave the study, the fire now a smoldering ember, and step onto the streets of the city. The alleys are alive with the scent of damp stone and the distant clatter of market stalls. I can feel the eyes of the city upon me, the unspoken expectation that I will protect them. I make my way to the old quarter, where the whispers say a cult of shadow weavers gathers beneath the ruined cathedral. The cult is said to be the source of the monsters that have plagued the city for months, feeding on fear and feeding the darkness that Lyra herself commands. As I approach the cathedral, the air grows colder, the lilac perfume faint but present, as if the city itself remembers her. I draw my moon iron sword, the blade humming louder in response to the growing darkness. Inside the cathedral, the stone arches loom like skeletal fingers. Candles flicker, casting wavering light on the walls covered in ancient runes. I hear a low chant, a rhythm that vibrates through the floorboards. The cultists are gathered around a stone altar, their cloaks black as night, their faces hidden. At the center of the altar lies a crystal, pulsing with a sickly green light. I recognize it instantly, a heartstone, a relic that can bind souls to the will of its master. Lyra's power feeds from it, and the monsters that roam the city are merely extensions of its dark energy. I step forward, the sound of my boots echoing in the cavernous space. "Lyra," I shout, my voice reverberating off the stone. She emerges from the shadows, her silk dress now a deep violet, the lilac perfume swirling around her like a storm. Her eyes blaze with a fierce light, twin moons that seem to hold the entire night within them. "Joran," she says, her tone both a greeting and a warning. "You are late, the heartstone is ready." I raise my sword, the moon iron glinting. "Then we end this together." She lifts her own blade, a curved dagger forged from obsidian, its edge dripping with a faint violet hue. "Together," she repeats, and the word feels like a promise and a threat. The cultists rise, chanting louder, their voices merging into a cacophony that threatens to drown the world. I feel the ground tremble as the heartstone pulses, sending ripples of dark energy through the cathedral. I charge, the blade singing as it cuts through the air. The first cultist falls, a scream tearing from his throat as the moon iron severs the dark sigil etched on his forearm. Lyra moves with a fluid grace, her dagger slicing through another, the violet light of her weapon leaving trails of violet fire. We fight side by side, a strange choreography of steel and magic. The lilac perfume intensifies, wrapping around us like a living veil, shielding us from the heartstone's corrupting influence. I can feel the pulse of the crystal, a heartbeat that matches my own, as if the city itself is alive and watching. "Joran," Lyra cries, her voice cutting through the roar. "The crystal, destroy it." I glance at the heartstone, its green light flaring brighter with each passing second. I know that if I strike it, the wave of darkness will shatter, but the backlash could consume us both. "We have to risk it," I say, my breath ragged. "If we don't, the city will drown in monsters forever." She nods, her eyes softening for a brief instant, a flicker of the woman I once loved shining through the armor of the sorceress. Together we leap toward the altar. I swing my sword in a wide arc, the moon iron meeting the crystal's surface. The impact sends a shockwave of green light that erupts like a storm, scattering shards of the heartstone across the cathedral. The shards explode in bursts of dark energy, each one striking the walls, the floor, the very air. I feel the force push me back, the wind tearing at my hair, the lilac perfume turning to ash in my nostrils. Lyra is thrown to the ground, her dagger skittering away. I scramble to my feet, my vision blurred by the afterglow of the shattered crystal. The cultists are gone, their chants silenced, their bodies crumpled like broken statues. The cathedral trembles, the stone arches cracking, dust raining down like snow. I pull Lyra to her feet, our hands brushing, the contact sending a jolt of familiar warmth through me. You saved us," she whispers, her voice hoarse. I look into her eyes, seeing the twin moons dimming, the lilac scent finally fading to a gentle breeze. "We saved each other," I reply, the words feeling like a promise finally kept. Outside, the city awakens to a new dawn. The howls of the damned have ceased, replaced by the distant chatter of merchants and the clatter of horse hooves on cobblestones. The sky, once a bruised violet, now glows with a soft amber, as if the sun itself is grateful for the peace. I walk through the streets, the weight of my sword at my side, the taste of whiskey still lingering on my tongue, but now it is not bitterness. It is a reminder of the journey, of the fire that forged me. People glance at me, some with fear, some with hope. I feel their eyes, their unspoken prayers. I have become more than a hunter. I am a guardian, a man who has faced his own darkness and emerged with a heart still beating. Lyra walks beside me, her steps light, the lilac perfume now a faint memory carried on the wind. She does not speak, but her presence is enough. The city feels alive, breathing, and for the first time in a decade, I feel that I belong. We stop at the edge of the river that cuts through the city, its waters reflecting the sunrise like molten gold. I turn to her, the water rippling with each breath. "What now?" I ask, the question hanging between us like a fragile thread. She smiles, a smile that has not been seen in years, and the lilac scent returns, soft and comforting. "Now we rebuild," she says. "Now we watch over the city together." I nod, feeling the weight of my past lift, replaced by a future I can finally see. The fire within me still burns, but it is no longer a wound, it is a beacon. I raise my glass, the amber liquid catching the sunrise, and toast to the city, to the monsters we have slain, and to the love that survived the darkest night. "To us," I say, and Lyra lifts her own glass, the violet liquid shimmering like a promise. "To us," she echoes, and the clink of crystal against crystal rings out across the river, a sound that carries hope to every corner of the city. As the sun climbs higher, we walk back into the streets, hand in hand, ready to face whatever shadows may rise, knowing that together we are stronger than any destiny that once tried to tear us apart.